We did it again. Sorry about it. Hey guys, welcome to the Boozatory. It's me, Jake Brunig. Hello. And I've got PJ with me. Hi, PJ Wagner.
How's it going, Jake?
It's good. What'd you do this weekend? Or it's been a while since we've taped. This is our second double taping in a row. Not that we've taped doubles 2 weeks in a row. It's just the last time we taped was also double. But in terms of my productivity, this is still really impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely not par for the course for us to be this far ahead of schedule. But it's kind of nice.
Yeah. What you been up to? What you done lately?
So I started as a beverage director with a new program.
Yeah, you've been making big moves.
Yeah, I got a lot of cool things that have been kind of on the back burner, and they're all kind of starting to come to fruition right now. So it's really cool to see everything start to come together.
Nice. I didn't do anything. I went to a monster truck rally.
Yeah,
that's about the most exciting. It was, so we all got there thinking, like, we were already at 30 rack in, like, between all of us, and we thought it was, like, going to be, like, what you would expect, like, from TV and movies when you think monster trucks. And we got there and we went, oh, this is for children. This is a family event. We did not adjust our behavior, but we were aware of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most anyone can ask of you, right? Just to be aware.
So we apologize to the families who happened to be in attendance at the Allstate Arena that night. Congratulations to Pirate's Curse, the monster truck, for winning.
So how do you win a monster truck rally?
So it's weird. Like, we were there, and because it's like, you know, the way they judge skateboarding, it's like you do a heat and then you get your scores from the judges, but the judges are the audience and they like text in the scores.
Oh, so it's like American Idol Monster Truck Edition.
Pretty much, yeah.
I can dig it.
And it was fun. I paid $18 for a hot dog and a Miller Lite, and I had a great time.
But you got to bring a 30-pack, so like...
Oh, we did that beforehand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
But it was fun because, actually, that's pretty much all that happened there. It was fun. We thought it was going to be a much different dynamic, and it wasn't, and we did not adjust, and we made a lot of dads mad.
Yeah, I think that night I was doing a whiskey dinner with Few Whiskey at one of the restaurants I work with, and that went over really well.
Good.
Michael, that was on the podcast for our Whiskey 101 episode, was with us. I had a couple really cool cocktails for that one. I did a riff on smoked old fashioned using their American whiskey, and then I did an aviation where I swapped out the gin for their rye, and that seemed to be like everyone's favorite of the night, which was really cool. And instead of being blue, it gets this really cool like cerulean green color.
Nice.
And then finished out with a super traditional whiskey sour, but I swapped out the bitters for honey bitters and a little bit of chamomile bitters in that as well. And it was kind of added a couple of really nice small touches to it.
I actually, while you were at work the other day, attempted to make my own cocktail at home.
How'd that go, Jake?
I tried to make an old fashioned, but with the apple bitters.
Mm-hmm.
The apple old fashioned. But I completely had a brain fart and didn't think to melt the sugar in the raw down into Demerara syrup.
Mm-hmm.
So I just poured a teaspoon of sugar into the
that's how they used to do it. Put the old fashioned, the bitters, and the whiskey together and just muddle it all up and let the whiskey melt everything down. And
I didn't have the patience for that.
Yeah, it takes.
And then I ended up making my own Demerara and did okay.
Yeah, no, it looks fine. I mean, it's not like it's super complex. You've seen me do it a couple times, so
yeah,
you should be able to figure that one out.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's the Boozatory, but this is a non-booze episode, at least as far as I go. Because what are we doing today, PJ?
We're doing Mocktail 101, and basically what a mocktail is it's a cocktail minus the alcohol. So you create a non-alcoholic drink. And with me today for that is our guest, Mr. Eric Persons.
Howdy.
And I'm running solo on this because I'm going to be hard on it anyway. Because, like, you've told me about these from the get-go, and I'm still not sold on them. Because, like, I've had my days of, like, being a designated driver, or it's like, oh, I got work in the morning, I'm just not going to drink, but I've got to be out with these people for whatever. And at that point, like, you've told me, like, we've gone out together, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to drive you guys home, so I'm going to stop here. And you're like, we'll get a mocktail. And I'm like, why don't I just get a water?
Yeah, that's always kind of one of the hard points to it, but...
And maybe that's just because I'm an old grumpy asshole.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. It's largely in part on the bartender's end to kind of cultivate that welcoming environment where everyone's a part of the experience.
Okay.
And the issue is, like, a designated driver is going to be pretty tempted to drink alcohol if you're over there making some really awesome cocktails or when everyone's loving the cocktails and they're just drinking like soda or water. Like they're not having a good time. And that's going to affect everyone around them, and it's going to make them less likely as the driver to want to bring everyone back there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's a no-brainer to really just make mocktails for every designated driver. And usually the first mocktail I give the designated driver is free because I want to thank them, one, for being the responsible one in the group and making sure that all of our patrons of the night are going to be able to come back again.
Yeah. Let it be known, we are proponents of responsible drinking and driving here on the Boozatory.
Yes.
So we will throw you a bone if you're DDing for the night. Yeah, it's just like when you first told me about him, I was just like a curmudgeon about it, and I'll admit I was a curmudgeon about it, so we're going to sell it to me here, right now.
Yeah, so Eric has put together a cocktail for us, or a mocktail for us. You want to walk us through this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a pretty simple base. I did a little bit of lemon juice to start. Added a roasted red pepper syrup, roasted red pepper, a little bit of ginger, and some turmeric root to give it a nice spice. I personally grew up eating a lot of Oriental food, and I just don't see a lot of those flavors presented in cocktails or mocktails today, and especially in this region, in the Midwest. So I just kind of want to bring a little bit of that flavor to a mocktail so that even though you're not getting the alcohol, you're still experiencing something a little bit different and something interesting for your palate.
Awesome. Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get a taste on this. Cheers.
Cool. Foamy.
That's really well done. I think the pepper speaks really well, and the turmeric gives some really nice underlying kind of flavor notes to it. Brings out some of the sweetness in the lemon that can be lost to some of the tart sides of it.
Right.
That's nice.
I also added the egg white to it to just give it a little bit more of a silky consistency.
I was just saying it had a creamy consistency. There's a little bit of cream to it.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times on here. Texture is so important with cocktails.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're doing mocktails, it can be difficult to manage texture sometimes because you're realistically using a lot of sugar and a lot of juice. You kind of want to get them away from the mindset of, oh, I'm just drinking a smoothie.
Right, right.
Which, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with smoothies. I think smoothies are delicious, and they have their time and place. But
yes. And, like, I'm big on, I've been half-assing my health lately, and I got down on myself about it. So thank you for all the kind words to people who did. But, I mean, are these possible with kind of the lower sugar and calorie count for those people who are conscious of that?
So you can. There's a really cool company that's kind of breaking through in the U.S. right now called Seedlip.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing non-alcoholic spirits.
Oh.
So what you can do with those is any cocktail you normally do with alcohol, you can then do without alcohol and still have a pretty similar taste. I personally haven't gotten a chance to try any of them yet because they just hit the market here. But I should be trying some within the next couple of weeks, so that'll be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I like to play around with a lot is like low ABV cocktails anyway. And so for me, that's just kind of like the next step away from low ABV is no ABV. So no alcohol by volume. I think that you can do a lot with tonics and sodas to help get away from some of the caloric content of cocktails and mocktails,
mm-hmm.
And add nice texture to it. Something with a little bit of bubbles.
Cool. And Eric, is this something that is based on like an actual cocktail that you have in your repertoire?
No, it's actually just kind of based on the food in general.
Okay.
My mom has always cooked with turmeric as long as I can remember, so it's just a very familiar flavor to me. It's a little bit comforting. I think it really suits the colder weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's still definitely a very refreshing drink, but I also see the addition of the egg white to add the foaminess just kind of brings it to a a place that is more suited for the winter months.
All right, yeah, I feel like I could get full off of this.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, especially if we did it with more than just the egg white, if we did like a flip with it, which uses the entire egg,
Yeah.
so the egg yolk included, then you would definitely start to feel pretty full by the end of it. Which is one of my favorite things to do in winter cocktails is flip cocktails.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I dig it. It's, I guess I'm just trying to like piece together, like in my head is like, oh, what alcohol would I put in here?
You do like soju, which is like a sake basically, but liquor instead of wine. You could do tequila, you could do mezcal, you could do gin, whiskey. You know, the base for this is, you know, realistically, it's a whiskey sour with spices.
Yeah, and it's weird because you wouldn't tell by looking at it, but the pepper is what comes through most for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Red pepper.
Which is really really a wonderful kind of, and it's specifically roasted red pepper too. Which I think is why it comes through so much, both in the nose and in the taste.
Because roasting is what's going to really bring that out.
Right. Yeah. If you did a raw red pepper syrup, one, you're going to get a totally different taste, but it's also going to be more subtle. When you roast it, you get some of those darker, kind of smokier notes coming from the pepper.
That's why I personally feel as if like a reposado or añejo mezcal would pair very, very nicely with it, because it's just kind of playing off the smokiness of the mezcal as well as the roasted red pepper.
Okay. Then I guess we could go for just where these are, like in the bar world right now. Like, how have these just been around the whole time?
I mean, yes and no. It's definitely something we've seen on the rise recently, especially here in the Midwest. There's been a big push for lower alcohol content and for alternatives to cocktails for people to enjoy when they're at a bar. Because we do really want to push being responsible while still having a good time. That's the biggest thing. Like, mocktails for me are largely about responsibility and making sure that people are okay. But you can look all across Europe and you see low ABV aperitif and aperitivo cocktails in Western Europe. You know, you're talking about France and Italy are big pushers of those. You even see them sometimes in Spain. You know, one of your favorites, the Aperol Spritz. It's a great low ABV cocktail or aperitivo cocktail.
It's my favorite morning drink.
Yeah, I mean, things like that. So spritzes have been big on the rise. You know, they had their big heyday in the 90s with the workout like fad crowd. New York right now, I think there's like low ABV and aperitif menus just basically everywhere there right now. So you'll probably see the rest of the major markets start following that trend.
And I mean, we're all kind of from the same area of Chicagoland, the south suburbs, Joliet, where a drunk person is the least of your problems.
Yeah, no, it's the scary people are the sober ones.
We come from a place where it's just like everything's so spread out that the only way you're going to get to a bar is driving. And I don't see this being served at Judges.
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of my biggest issues with, I don't want to like say lower tier bars, but bars that aren't kind of achieving on a high-end cocktail side of things is they don't think about that end of it very much. And those are also the places where you see a lot of over-serving, heavy pouring, a lot of shots being given away. And like, while you feel like you're giving them a better experience because you're giving them a lot of alcohol for less money, one, you're going to make less money yourself. The business is going to make less money, so they won't have more money to pay you and buy you nicer things. And also, like, what are you going to do if something bad happens to that patron? Because in my opinion, that's entirely on you.
So then, Eric, are mocktails something you kind of try to play around with and create a lot of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just don't think they should be as niche as they currently are.
Yeah.
I think that it should be available to at literally any bar that you go to. They should have a mocktail list, not just just kind of telling people if you're a designated driver, and again, just not for people that are designated drivers, but people that just don't like the taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
Still want to go out with their friends when they're nursing or pregnant. So there's just a lot of variables that go into it, and I feel like it should be something that is much more widespread than it currently is.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely on board with that. I always kind of liked it when I was in bars and someone would be like, hey, what do you have that's non-alcoholic?
It's like a challenge.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge because like you're on the spot and like that's honestly one of the hardest things you can ask a bartender is like, what can you make me that isn't like a bunch of pre-made garbage? Like what other than Coca-Cola can you make me that's non-alcoholic? Because immediately like you have to completely flip the script on how you think about building drinks because a lot of us, especially in the speakeasy crowd, we're very spirit forward. So like we base a lot of our flavors around the alcohol.
Yeah.
Where when you start doing mocktails, man, you gotta completely go back to your flavor Bible knowledge.
Absolutely.
So like when you're at a new place now, say you've built a menu of 7 drinks.
That's how many we have.
Okay. How many of those are not focused on the flavor of the alcohol? How many is that not the main focus?
Oh, probably about 4 of them.
Yeah.
I would say we've got a riff on a Clover Club that you could do without alcohol and it would still be pretty good, which is going to have like typically raspberry. We use cranberry for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cranberry and citrus is going to come through pretty well in that without needing the gin back for that.
I was going to say the Oaxacan throat punch.
Yeah, we've got a mezcal cocktail with a green pepper syrup. I think that one could work really well. Maybe add a little bit of like pineapple to it, just to kind of build the body a little bit more and replace the missing liquid. Let's see. There's a few things on that menu that I think would work pretty well.
So you have enough that you could play around and like even just like custom mocktails outside of that where you don't gotta just go like, well, we got O'Doul's.
Yeah. Which even O'Doul's isn't truly like 100% alcoholic. There's still alcohol in that.
Yeah.
Even though it's super low.
It's just so low, why bother?
Exactly. But I think it's really important for every bartender needs to have like one killer mocktail in their back pocket at any given time. Like know what you've got behind your bar and like have a kind of standard recipe. Like the one that I love to play around is like take one of your favorite classic cocktail recipes, drop the alcohol out of it and replace it with a different flavor and balance it around that. Like I think the easiest one to do is like gimlet or daiquiris because typically it's going to be either gin or rum and then lime juice and sugar. So take your lime juice and sugar and add a third flavor that can play around and be the feature in that and use the lime and the sugar to balance it out because you have your tartness from the lime and your sweetness from the sugar and choose different sugars and then you can even change out the lime for something like lemon or grapefruit, another citrus to balance it back down.
Okay.
And I think one thing that people forget to use a lot when they're making mocktails is some sort of saline, like something with some salt content to it, because that's going to really make your flavors pop. You just don't have any savory ingredients typically behind the bar that aren't alcohol.
Right. So I guess another question I have is, we were just talking about how you guys have some of your custom stuff that you could flip to a mocktail.
Yeah.
Is it possible to like, do you have stuff like up your sleeve that if someone's like, oh, I want a classic cocktail, but I'm the DD, could I basically say, like, could you make me a mocktail old fashioned?
Yeah, I could do it. That one would be really hard.
Okay.
Because that one is 2 ounces of whiskey.
Yeah.
And then
not much
bitters. It's 2 ounces of whiskey, a few dashes of bitters, which are technically alcohol. However, I believe you can use bitters in a mocktail because if you're getting drunk off bitters, man, we need to hang out and you need to show me how you're doing this. So, like, we've got a couple cocktails where we use like an entire ounce of bitters in them, but there's a lot of other ingredients that go into it to keep you from just tasting Angostura all night long.
God damn, I'm still really impressed at how much the pepper comes through on that. That's really cool. Okay, I was just curious about that and like.
Yeah, like there's ways to do it. I'd have to use like vanilla syrup. It would be difficult. That one is definitely one of the difficult ones. I think I could do it, but it would have to be something I'd have to prepare kind of ahead of time.
Okay. Are there some like classics that you could easily do it with?
Well, the daiquiri and gimlet, those are the two.
Oh, Tom Collins?
The Tom Collins, easily.
Yeah.
Any vodka drink.
That's a big thing on the show as to what vodka should be. And so you just take it out, no one's gonna fucking know.
Right, other than they're not going to get drunk off of it. I mean, I've said it a million times, and I've probably said it at least 20 times on the podcast, that vodka isn't contributing a flavor. So,
or at least it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Good vodka isn't contributing a flavor. So if you take vodka out, you haven't changed your taste. All you've done is you've removed the alcohol content.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think like the color is a big thing for me on this. As someone who's being sold this right now, I'm looking like, oh, this is like pretty.
Right.
That's cool. So presentation's like huge on this.
Oh, mocktails, massively. They're not going to get drunk off of it. And I think we all know that beer goggles are definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And that happens with cocktails too. You want to see a group of people at a bar like go nuts about how good a drink looks? Check in on them on their third drink. Like, make them the prettiest drink you have on their third round of drinks. They're gonna go nuts for it.
Just phones out, Instagram, going at it.
So Eric works with me at the speakeasy I'm at now.
Mm-hmm.
And man, we have people take so many pictures in there. It is kind of crazy the amount of people that are like, wait, don't be done with making the drink yet. I want to take pictures. It's like, all right, well, this cocktail's getting worse every second I'm holding it. So, like, I hope you're quick.
Yeah, folks at home, if you're going to PJ Speakeasy, you got to be snapping them pics in the moment. You got to chop.
Yeah, I really hate kind of like posing for pictures in a bar setting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the bar that we're at right now, man. We do some pretty intense volume there.
And it's a cool spot. Like, I've seen pictures. I haven't been able to go yet myself, but
it's a fairly small spot. Like, it technically can hold 50 people, but we never want more than 30 in there at a time. Last night we got over 30 for a little bit, and
in the weeds.
Yeah,
in the weeds.
Yeah, we were like 9-10 tickets deep at one point, and like Eric called out a few cocktails for me to make, and I knocked them out, and I felt pretty good because I knocked out like 4 tickets really quick. And then I look over and I just see him pull this big long ribbon of cocktails off of the printer, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, because like at there, like both, it's only open, what, 2 days a week?
Right now, yeah, just Fridays and Saturdays.
So it's one of those spots where it's like, you're only open 2 days a week, but
we're busy every time we're open.
Like, you've broken the sales record 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, especially considering we both like just got there.
You both just got there, and it's just both you, right?
Yeah,
it's just you and Eric.
Last night it was literally just me and Eric, and then there is a third person that works there, but they ended up having to call out last night. Which left us in a little bit of a scary spot because she's the only person that's been there for more than 5 days.
All right.
She's been there for, I think, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But she's like the lead server there. Typically we only have like one server / host.
Yeah.
To run the floor and 2 people behind the bar. But last night it was Eric and I, and we stole a server from the restaurant we're affiliated with.
Okay.
Who had never even been in the room before. And we're like, hey.
Oh, that poor kid.
Nerve-wracking to say the least.
She did awesome, man. I can't even be like more happy. Like the whole restaurant came together to really help us and make it successful.
Absolutely.
And I literally couldn't be happier with how much support we received, because he and I have both been in a different location where that happened, and we did not get that support, and it was a way different story at the end of the night.
And that guy can eat my whole ass. So I guess like another question, and then we'll take a break in a couple of minutes. When you guys got there, how much did they have for you to work with, and how much did you make? Like as far as like what they had, their menus.
So the menu that's on right now was designed by the previous beverage director, and it went live the day before I started.
Jesus.
So like this is not a menu I personally designed. So what
you had you had how long to learn?
1 shift.
Fuck.
Yeah. So it's a high-end craft cocktail. 7 cocktails on the menu, plus a bunch of classics, wine, beer, in small selection for wine and beer. And then a large selection of rare acquisitions. Rare acquisitions is a fancy bar term for real expensive bottles.
Yeah.
Like we've got some stuff that gets up to like almost 400 an ounce.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always fun to like have sitting on your shelf.
It's so funny to think because you're in it. It's a pretty like exclusive spot. It's all reservation.
Yeah, it's all reservation. We do take walk-ups if we have time, but we tell people when they walk in, if you don't have a reservation and we need your seats when the reservation gets there, we'll hand you your check and you have to pay out, finish your drinks, and leave.
Yeah.
Like, reservations are our primary focus there.
And it's just funny because like you're in this very exclusive place in a certain Chicago suburb that a certain celebrity is considering moving to.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. Kanye West was in town a couple weeks ago at actually a dive bar called The Can, just around the corner. Which I found out that there's actually this guy who owns a really nice cocktail bar in Logan Square, plays Dungeons and Dragons in that bar on Thursday nights. But yeah, so he came in to this restaurant, and apparently he was meeting with a real estate agent and spent a lot of time in Naperville, which is the suburb that we were in. He's like, yeah, I just really wanted to come back and get the food here because I grew up with it, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool, like little taste of home, absolutely.
But I mean, just being an exclusive place in that town, if he moves there, he might be Kanye's bartender.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that now that he's officially out of politics.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thought. I was like, oh, is he gonna get like crazy Kanye, or now it's like cooled off Kanye?
Yeah, am I getting like early 2000s Kanye, like Kanye Lupe Fiasco, Touch the Sky, like that song, man? I love that song. If I get that Kanye, we're good.
We can play with that shit. That's fine.
But if I get the Kanye that met with Ninja from the Antwoord with the banana pudding story, man. If you guys haven't looked that one up, it's on YouTube. It's fantastic. Turn the subtitles on, but yeah, listen to that story. It's nuts. It gives you a whole insight into Kanye.
Nice. So I think we've reached a good point to take a break. When we come back...
Yeah, let's talk about what you did to me today.
Well, they sent me to get mint, and as I'm in the store, which first off, I gotta say, I was there and I was like, well, I'm gonna get a couple groceries for myself too. So I went to get just turkey for sandwiches.
I'm really glad turkey wasn't the ingredient you picked for me.
Yeah. But so, I was at the deli counter behind this old lady who took 20 minutes.
She gotta count the coins.
Didn't order anything, just asking questions. And I could tell the guy would like, every 5 minutes, the guy would shoot me a look from behind the counter and just be like, I'm sorry. And to the point where it's like, she got all uppity at some point, and I just kind of started to walk away. He was like, sir, and I was like, it's not you, it's her, I promise. And she kind of shot a look to me like, excuse me? I was like, yeah, you know exactly what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
Old women at the grocery store on a Sunday. Bane of my fucking existence.
I used to work for a big grocery store in Georgia. We did 1.5 million a week in sales.
Fuck.
Yeah, big grocery store. And on Wednesdays we did senior citizen discount where they got 5% off of their deal, or off of their entire order. Anything except for alcohol. God, I hated Wednesdays. I worked there every Wednesday for 2 years.
I'm saying we can revoke the senior discounts and we'll give them back when they apologize for the housing market crash.
Which housing market crash?
The one that...
The one that's currently happening? The one where it's still in the progress of?
You know, the one.
Yeah.
But so, to answer PJ's question, he sent me a text of like, hey, if you see an ingredient that you want me to make a mocktail out of, grab it. And I was like, challenge accepted. Except not really, because I did a bad job apparently. I grabbed something that I was just going to drink on its own anyway. And when we come back, PJ will make a mocktail with that. And I'm going to tell a story that's actually, we're going to call in our producer, John, and he's going to help me out with it. So that should be fun. We'll see you in a bit. Hey, we're back with round 2 of Mocktails 101, and I fixed the audio, and I'm so excited. So, like I said before the break, we've got a drink in front of us that is had to be like actively maintained.
Fuck you, Jake.
And here's the thing: is PJ said I did a bad job, but I think I win this challenge. Because
Well, hey, don't say you win until you've tasted it, because
Fair enough.
I might win this one.
yeah, but his whole thing is he told me to pick an ingredient of my choosing, and I bring it to him, and what I got was one of those like Starbucks mocha double shot espresso cans. And when I showed it to him when I got home from the grocery store, he was like, "Easy."
No,
Nothing.
it was easy. Like, I knew exactly what I was going to make and the flavors I was going to use. It's
What obstacle have you run into?
mainly it's that because it's, I don't know, maybe that's a nitrogen can, I think, but it causes separation in the ingredients. So it's one of those things, kind of like with Guinness. You know, you put like Bailey's into Guinness, it starts to curdle. This is just because the carbonation having trouble staying emulsified. It's wanting to separate.
Yeah. So do you have a...
That happens with cocktails anyway. So.
Right. But it's just it was just funny that we have to like actively stir it to keep it nice.
Oh, it's just because we let it sit for a while we were waiting for you to get everything set up.
Yeah. Do we have a name for this?
No. This is the cocktail that shall never be named. I do not want to have to make this one again.
That should not be named. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good name for it.
Yeah.
So what's in this one?
You know what? We'll call this It Follows.
Okay.
So this is the Starbucks mocha. I also used a little bit of chameleon cold brew. And then I used pineapple juice, orange bitters, some 11th Orchard bitters, which are made locally here in Chicago. And then I muddled a jalapeno after removing the ribs and seeds. And then did one final shake of all of that together with pineapple juice, which had a few of the seeds in it to add just a little bit of spice.
Okay. Eric, what do you think? What do you think of that ingredient lineup?
It's a little different. It's a little bit weird. I actually cheated a little bit. I add a little reposado to top it off.
Fair enough.
The big thing in this is I kind of wanted to make it around the flavor of like a South American indigenous hot chocolate.
Okay.
That was where my mind immediately went when you showed me the mocha. I was like, all right, well, let's do like a spicy, bittersweet chocolate.
Okay, cool. It looks like a legit drink.
Yeah.
I won't say like if you were to
it's
add...
amazing when you put pineapple fronds and a lime wheel into something on ice.
Yeah.
It looks like a cocktail.
What? I guess if you were gonna add alcohol to this, what would you add, PJ? Because clearly you've added reposado.
Rum, tequila. Of course, you could do it with vodka if you so chose, but it wouldn't add anything to it. I think for me, I'd probably go with rum.
Okay. Maybe a different base so it doesn't curdle so much.
Yeah. But, it's
because it's not to say, because, like, there's, like, the, like, milky drinks.
Yeah, like a mocha.
Yeah.
But let's get in and let's get to tasting on this one.
All right. Fuck, I'm not mad about it. All right. Fine, you win.
So, basically, if we go back to the rum episode, we did coffee rum.
Yeah.
And pineapple.
So that's
That's basically what I have here. I did add a little bit of demerara to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the plan. Was let's make basically that cocktail because I knew those flavors were already going to work and be a little weird when you first explain it. But
so I guess like how would, because you've talked about like the flavor wheel or Bible or whatever.
Yeah, the flavor Bible.
So how did you use the knowledge that you have from that to literally go, here's an ingredient, make something?
So it's all like, so the flavor wheel is part of it's one of the things listed in the flavor Bible, but your options for making things taste good, you can either have ingredients that are extremely similar or ingredients that are polar opposites. Pineapple juice, super sweet. Coffee, super bitter. So that was kind of the main thing is I used those two counterpoints to balance out the flavor.
Oh, there's a spice.
I am
There
very
is.
wary of cocktails that incorporate coffee into them, but this actually blends together very nicely.
Thank you.
And considering it might as well be just like Starbucks version of Monster. It's not even like real Starbucks.
Yeah.
If Starbucks started serving alcohol, we would all be in trouble.
Yeah.
They did.
Oh, hello. What do they have?
No idea. I just know there was a couple test Starbucks that did have like alcohol in them.
I do like that it's taken me like 3 or 4 sips to like feel the jalapeno in my throat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because like
very softly underlying tones.
I like spice, but I don't like jalapeno. I don't know if texture is the right word.
You know what's wild? I've been sitting here and my face is on fire, and I've been trying to figure out why.
Oh, because you cut up the jalapenos.
Jalapenos,
and you touched your face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kids, always wash your hands after handling peppers.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't like jalapenos like by themselves.
Oh, I don't either. I'm actually not a big like spice fan, but I use spicy ingredients. I find that I use ingredients that I don't like the taste of to make cocktails pretty often. Like I've been working on one using dill, caraway, and celery root, which are all 3 ingredients that I'm not a fan of.
That sounds just extremely refreshing, though.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen me make it a few times now at the bar. And like everyone is loving it, so I guess that's probably gonna go on the menu.
I mean, I knew some like theater majors in college who they like at one point they would direct a play for the school, and there was always this weird theme of like one of the plays you direct when you're going to school should be a play that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a similar concept? Like it's a challenge to work with ingredients you don't like personally?
Well, it also makes you get out of your comfort zone and makes you actually be creative. It's very easy to like for me, I talk about the daiquiri and the old fashioned a lot. They're 2 of my favorite cocktails. Yeah, I could do a whole entire menu that's based on those 2 things. It'd be a good menu. But I would just be doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
And so when you start with an ingredient that you don't personally enjoy, it forces you to really think about how to balance the taste and how to actually look at things objectively instead of like opinionated.
Okay. Eric, are there any like ingredients that you've worked with that you're like, I fucking hate this personally, but I'm gonna try?
Yeah, no, vodka. I think vodka is generally just the bane of a bartender's existence. So I usually try to stray away from it. I always substitute gin wherever I possibly can. Because gin is just very diverse. You can have like Hendrix, which is extremely floral. Finn's gin is very light, but still on the botanical side.
It's got that pink Szechuan peppercorn in the back end of it. That's what really sets the Finn's gin apart from everything else.
So, I mean, are there any like non-alcohol ingredients that you are reprehensive about? Just on a personal palate level.
Just on the way that I was brought up as a bartender, partially by PJ and some other bartenders in the area. As long as it's a fresh ingredient, I really don't mind working with it. It could be the weirdest thing, but if it's a fresh ingredient, if it's locally grown, locally sourced, I'm definitely all about it, and I'd love to try to make it into a cocktail. Yeah. It's more so like the mass-produced, just like mixes that I try to stay away from as much as possible.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I can tell you the one that was like a very like simple cocktail that we made with super fresh ingredients that everyone at that bar hated making because it got ordered so much. It was I made a rum runner for the menu at the bar in Joliet that we all worked at. And it was fresh cut and squeezed oranges because we didn't prep juices there.
Right.
If someone ordered a cocktail and it had a juice in it, you had to cut that fruit and squeeze it for that drink.
Jesus.
So you would like have fresh oranges on the bar. And then the next ingredient was muddled bananas with a dark rum and a little bit of vanilla extract. Everyone went nuts for that drink over the summer because it was super tasty. But muddling banana and squeezing oranges every single time you had to make that cocktail.
Not to speak about washing the sugars and everything.
That was the bad part. Was like washing the banana out of it.
God damn. I mean, it sounds like it would be good though.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, I'm changing my answer. I definitely hate working with bananas too.
After that one cocktail, I haven't made a single cocktail with banana since then.
See, and it's funny because like place here in Chicago that we're really fond of, Lost Lake,
The
does a
banana
lot with
daiquiris.
bananas.
The banana daiquiris, man. They also have like a fucking amazing blender.
They do, yeah. But they'll literally carve up a banana to make it look like a dolphin.
Yep.
But I don't
It's
think
a Paul McGee thing. He was doing those over at 3 Dots and a Dash when he was running that.
Yeah.
And then when he opened Lost Lake, he started doing the banana daiquiri there, and that's one of his big signatures. Actually made a bunch of banana daiquiris yesterday night. People were like, oh, I want something that's kind of fruity and refreshing, but something I haven't had out here before. And it's like, do you ever go to the city? And they're like, no, we typically avoid the city. It's like, all right, I know what cocktail I'm making you. Banana daiquiris all night.
Nice. It's cool. And it's like, I get that you kind of had to go the extra mile flavor-wise with this, because you put a decent amount of stuff in here.
Yeah. I mean, but it's all like basic things you had access
And
to behind a bar.
Yeah, and you don't have the alcohol to, I don't want to say hide behind, because that's not the right word.
But I don't have any alcohol to flush out
Bring to the
flavor.
forefront.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm digging this. And again, presentation's kind of key on here. Like, I could imagine one of those, like, banana dolphins popping out of this son of a bitch.
Tiki garnish is the easiest way to approach mocktails, in my opinion. Because tiki garnishes are always a little bit extravagant and over the top. They're big and bold. I think
sometimes they involve fire. Yeah,
subtle garnishes can be difficult to do with mocktails because typically mocktails end up with a bunch of ingredients in them.
Yeah.
And so Lost Lake, for example, the way they do their garnishes there, everyone gets to do the garnishes their own way. But if it has lime as an ingredient, it gets a lime garnish. If it has pineapple, it gets a pineapple garnish. If it has something herbaceous, it gets mint. If it, all these different things. If it has crushed ice, it gets a swizzle stick, or it gets a, I guess technically you can call it a swizzle stick. It's the plastic leaves that they put in there that you can stir the cocktail with.
Yeah.
So like they have the bartenders
so
each have an option, but they have to use a garnish made from that ingredient.
So the more you add to a drink, the bigger your fucking shish kebab's gonna get.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, basically.
I'd play that game.
Yeah, and so it's kind of funny. I was listening to an episode of actually Bartender at Large, Eric Castro's bar podcast that he does, where he was talking about how they do the garnishes over at Lost Lake, and the girl who runs the program there was like, yeah, I can look at the Instagram and I can tell like who made each drink because they all have their own like style. They all have like things they do, and it's like their little signature on how they do a garnish.
Yeah,
and I think that's really cool. Like having the ability to let everyone express themselves creatively without actually changing anything. Is kind of cool.
I mean, that's just a large part of cocktail bartending in general. You're not just throwing a strawberry on there and calling it a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, it's like, yeah, can you just pour rum over this bowl of fruit salad?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad.
No.
PJ, no, my favorite thing to do is eat the garnish.
Yes. Yeah. Cucumbers, man.
Yeah.
I love using cucumbers for garnishing. It's so easy. You can do like a billion things with them.
Oh, yeah. So I guess another question I wanted to ask is, you guys know about them, I know about them, but I feel like the general public maybe doesn't know about them. How are you like peddling these, or like how many are you making on an average weekend?
Yesterday, let's see, I had you make 3 or 4 of them last night, right?
Yep.
So the way that I like to do the bar setup there is each side is set up to do anything, but the specific side will make more of a certain cocktail. So like we have a cocktail right now called the Man from Cartagena, which is like a deconstructed old fashioned. And there's a lot of steps to go into it, and there's fire, and there's like multiple plates and garnishes and stuff like that. So it's kind of an involved cocktail, but when you break it down to like one side is knocking out these specific cocktails on a ticket, the other side's knocking out these other ones, you become efficient because you're just repeating the motion throughout the night, and you can become kind of like, I don't want to say robotic, but it's like an assembly line.
So is that to say that a mocktail is throwing a wrench in the gears?
A little bit.
Okay.
So like, because I knew the ingredients he had available to him at the moment on his side of the bar, he had a lot of the juices in front of him already. He had a lot of the various ingredients. To call out for him, just be like, hey, make a mocktail, these flavors. He's going to be able to play off of that pretty quick. where I was already kind of buried in like classic cocktail land, where I'm doing everything spirit forward on my side. He had all the fruit juices and everything.
I mean, that's why I also just enjoy working with PJ, because we have very different bartending styles. And I just think that bringing them together is it's great, you know, especially since just the setting we're in is just, we have a beautiful, you know, location, amazing.
It's so pretty in there. We actually had a couple in last night that did their engagement photos and their wedding photos at our venue.
And I think we've got some cool places for that in general, because you kind of have access to it when it's closed.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you might start seeing some stuff pop up from it. And then, well, a lot of my friends in the industry that like work with distilleries come out to that bar. Like last night we had Toby and Jill Bell from Tailwinds and two of their friends. We had Candace Rose from Koval, which is a wonderful distillery in Chicago. It's actually Chicago's first major distillery since Prohibition.
So it's got good pull there.
Yeah, no, we get some really cool people in there. The chief of police has been in there. The mayor's been in there a few times. It's a really cool spot, and it's one of those things like everybody's welcome as long as you're not wearing gym shorts. No gym shorts, no sandals.
Looking at you, Jake.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
No, but that's really cool though. And so then I guess like with the mocktail, are you peddling these? Are you like selling these? Or do people know to ask for them?
So a lot of times the way it gets approached is we don't have soda guns up there, so we can't pour you Coke. Like, you just can't do it. I have a seltzer bottle, so I can do like carbonated water. But they're like, you know, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I don't want to have anything more to drink. And so sometimes you can approach it from the monetary side of things. Like, all right, cool, you've had a couple cocktails, but now you're wanting to sober up a little bit, but you don't want the party to end. Like, yeah. Because the way that I always think about running a bar program is that's your home. That bar is your house, and you're inviting people in for a party every single night. And you have to keep that party going. That's your job. Is
the
to
host,
yeah, you're the host of the party. When everyone swaps from cocktails to water, that energy dies. And that's bad. So when someone's like, hey, you know, I just don't want any more alcohol, that's my first thought is, all right, let's make another sale. It's not going to be $16, but it might be $7. And so that's, you know, $7 more for me, and they're going to have a better experience. Because they don't want to drink water.
Yeah.
They want to drink more cocktails, but they know that they can't get drunk.
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of like, that's the approach that I had from the beginning of this, is that I was the guy. I was like, I'll just have water. This is what?
Yeah.
And again, that's just me being a curmudgeon-y asshole. Are you kind of like looking at what they ordered throughout the day?
Yeah. One thing I love to tell people when they come to the bar and they start looking through our cocktail menu is I go, all right, forget about the alcohol. Just pretend you don't know anything about alcohol and just look at the other flavors in the drink. Look at the other ingredients. Are those flavors that you enjoy? Order that cocktail because you're going to love it. Don't let the alcohol that's in it scare you away from it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up ruining the experience for yourself.
Because, I mean, how many people come in on a night and they're like, I don't like tequila. I don't like gin. I don't like that.
The gin's the big one. It's like, oh, you love gin. You just don't know it yet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everyone loves gin except for Sarah Mowry.
Yeah.
She was one of the early guests on the show, and she is allergic to juniper.
Right.
So she cannot have gin.
That's unfortunate.
I know.
To say the least.
So gin's kind of the most popular one that people are like persnickety about.
Oh yeah, because the only experiences they have with gin is like Tanqueray or Bombay,
and probably just like doing like shots, or it's just gin and tonic.
Yeah, gin and tonic, or they had gin straight or gin and juice. You know, they had bad experiences in the 90s with gin.
Oh, I'll try to like sneak gin into people's cocktails.
Oh yeah,
like,
all the
whatever.
time.
And
it's gin. I go straight to the aviation.
Okay.
When someone's like, "Oh, I don't like gin, but I want you to make me a drink," and it's like, "Do you like things that are floral? Do you like flowers? Do you like pretty things? Like things that are like slightly sweet?" They're like, "Oh yeah, as long as it's like slightly sweet and a little citric, and I'm good with flowers." It's like, "All right, cool. I've got a cocktail for you." And I make them an aviation every single time, and they love it. And I wait until they finish. I'm like, "That is a super gin forward drink, and you love it." That and the last word, man.
Okay, what's the last word again?
So the last word is gin, chartreuse, maraschino, and lime juice.
Oh, I'd fuck with that so hard.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I've made you last words before, man. You just don't remember it.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember much from
Chartreuse episode, we did a last word.
I don't remember much from those places.
Yeah, I think this is the first episode where you haven't uttered your catchphrase yet.
Yeah, because I'm not. I am untoastable in this episode.
Yeah.
Can't get toasty.
His catchphrase is
Dad's toasty.
Yeah, Dad's toasty. 'Cause by about this time in a normal episode, he's feeling it.
Yeah, I'm having fun, doing a good time. I'm trying to think of like one more question because I got to buy a little time for our producer.
Well, how about this, Eric? You got any questions, man? Shoot them. Let's hear what you got.
Man, honestly, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. This episode has got me.
Dad's toasty. There we go. I got it out. I did it. Okay. No, I do have a question. So then I guess that's kind of how you're peddling these is like someone's like, okay, I've had a couple. I don't want to drink anymore. You go, what if I can get you something that tastes just like that without alcohol?
Well, not even just like that. Let me make you something polar opposite.
Yeah.
Because, so let's say you've been drinking old fashions all night.
Yeah.
Your third old fashioned is not going to taste as good as your first one. Because your palate's already been coated with those flavors. You're not really getting.
It's not going to taste
like,
any better.
Yeah, you're getting like diminishing returns basically on the flavor of it.
And that's not to say that you can't have a favorite one that you get more than one of, but
Oh, absolutely.
it's just not going to get any better.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like to ever order 3 of the same cocktail in an evening. Like bounce around, try different things because the way that your taste buds work is different things will play together differently and make certain flavors stand out. Like pineapple juice is already sweet. If you add salt to pineapple juice, it gets way sweeter. So, with that thought process in mind, if someone's drinking old fashions, which have no citrus, and they want to go to a third cocktail after that, I'm usually going to recommend something citric to kind of go in a totally different direction and act as like almost a palate cleanser, like a reset button to change things up.
I want to expand on the question that you had.
Yeah.
Is how do we push mocktails in general? And a large part about bartending is just kind of being aware of your surroundings and being aware of how your customer is feeling without them having to tell you. So if I see a large group come in and everybody's drinking except for one person, I don't have to ask
That's
them.
your driver.
Right, exactly. I don't have to ask them, are you driving? It's like, oh, are you expecting like, anything weird like that? You can just be like, I'm just like, is there anything that I can grab you that's not alcoholic? Like, can I make you a mocktail? And just kind of like, they've never heard of it. And
like, ooh, what's a mocktail?
I try not to call it a kiddie cocktail.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
Never.
thing. Never call it a kiddie cocktail. Mocktail sounds much more adult and a little bit more refined. And it's much easier to get someone onto it if you don't call it a kiddie cocktail.
Yeah.
Also, a kiddie cocktail, by definition, would be like alcohol you're serving to a child. Because the word cocktail means alcohol.
Right.
It means whiskey, sugar, water, bitters. So that means I'm handing an old fashioned to a child.
Yeah.
And while that may be cool other places, Chicago's not one of them, man.
Right. I think I've bought enough time. So I get we're gonna wrap this up with a story that I'm actually gonna tag team on speaker with my producer. He's calling now. Hey, John.
Hey, what's up, man? I just got my apartment.
Awesome. You actually called at the perfect time. So, John, say hello to the people at home.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, shit.
All right,
What's
so
going on, players?
yeah, so John is our producer. He and I go way back to in drinking before we should have. And
Yeah, Everclear. That was
yes.
my definite favorite.
And John and I, it's actually kind of fitting we tell the story for the mocktail episode because this was a night that John and I were not drinking. This
we were sober.
This is a babysitting episode where it was a night that we were maybe years old.
Yeah, we were definitely around the level,
Yeah.
of our age.
And a group of our friends. So what we would do, we would all just go to our friend's barn and just drink in there.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing else to do out here, really.
yeah, we lived in a farm town. There was not much to do. This was a night that our friends decided, hey, this was maybe the second or third time we all drank together. They were like,
Yeah, I mean,
hey.
this may have even after a band practice or a show.
Yes.
I think it was like after one of our shows.
Right. And this was a night where all of our friends went, hey, we're going to fuck with Everclear. Just straight Everclear. And we're just going to do shot after shot of it. PJ just made a face.
Yeah, I mean, themselves enough to want to do this, and they like really kept
Like
going.
they
It was like
planned for
I've never
it.
seen anything like it.
PJ, what's your general feeling about Everclear?
I use it to make Kahlua.
Okay.
I make 120 proof Kahlua that's pretty fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So
we don't do that.
Everclear has its usage, and it's usually to make to give a concentrative property, like if you're making bitters. Everclear is great for that. Or if you're lighting something on fire, or if you need to run your car for a short distance,
Or if you're just depressed.
Yeah.
Or-
I think we had a friend on a separate night take a bunch of Everclear and try to make a fireball.
Yeah.
In front of a bunch of people.
Yeah,
Sounds
it
about
works, but that fire will stick to your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so the night starts. First off, our pal who has been mentioned on the show before, Tony, showed up with a large McDonald's cup, maybe half full with the high C orange that they used to sell. Hands it to John. Goes, make me a drink.
And I started to make what the kids described back then as toxic concoctions.
Yeah.
For all of them, I was a bit of an enabler.
John topped that cup off.
For those who don't know, Everclear is almost 100% ethanol. Ethanol is the chemical that gets you drunk. It's was it 180 proof?
It's pure gasoline.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
it
no.
is as much alcohol as you could possibly as you could physically have. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
can't-
was a real good budget thing with it.
you can't create something more alcoholic.
Yes.
Obviously, never drank hand sanitizer before.
Well, that tastes like it's more alcoholic because of the bitter gin they add to it, so you can't get drunk off it because it'll just make you real sick first.
Yes. So John gives that drink to Tony. He takes a glug and immediately projectile vomits.
Yeah,
So that's how the
just,
night-
like, throws up everywhere.
That is how the night started. So the
Yeah,
night goes
and
on.
then- Yeah.
They're all drinking. It's me, John, and another friend of ours, Mark, who the three of us have come to the conclusion, like, we're not fucking with this. We're just going to watch and make sure nothing bad happens. And at one point, a friend of ours, she was like, I have to go to work tomorrow, but I can't drive home. And so...
Really, Everclear got you to the point where you can't drive home.
Yeah,
Surprising.
right? And so we came to a consensus. We're like, all right, I'm going to drive you home in your car. Mark, follow me in your car so that we can get back. John, watch the guys.
Yep.
So...
And I was left alone with some very severely, and I'm not really, I'm a slighter person in general, and back then I was even smaller. I mean, like I was just a dude with some long hair, and these guys were wasted. They were
left
close to 6 feet.
You were left alone with about 5 large drunk men. And
In a
so
barhouse.
at this point,
You look like the bellhop at this point.
yeah,
Just the little guy working in the hotel running the bags.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, I have left. So I'm gonna let John take the story from here.
Well, Jake's gone at this point, and the guys are, one guy's particular, his name is Tony. We mentioned him just now, earlier. He kept looking for weapons and in the barn. And, guys are still drinking, but Tony, he's subtly, joking, I'm going to go grab this large metal object. And we're like, don't do that, Tony. And then he would, slowly edge over there, and the idea kind of spread like a intellectual contagion, or a drunk intellectual contagion, and everyone decided that it was a good idea to start basally jousting with large metal objects. They tried to
Farm equipment.
take rakes and pokes and try to
Straight
run
up-
at each other and
Straight
I'm
up
trying to,
pitchforks.
yeah.
What happened
Oh
to
no,
good old-fashioned cow tipping? No one gets hurt cow tipping.
Now
yeah.
we're a corn town. We're not livestock.
Yeah, so they were just, and I kept trying to slowly, like, I would, like, it was like a cartoon. I would grab one object, and then, like, someone would go up and grab another object, and I grab another object, and eventually it got to the jousting, and then I remember people passing out. Eventually, I'm so grateful that Jake wasn't gone for a terribly long amount of time, because eventually he got back there and was able to help me, not witness any manslaughter or anything.
And if it's not the climax of this story was that Tony saw gas cans.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
yeah, that's right. That part had slipped my mind. They were trying to kill each other, and I forgot about the part where they tried to burn down the barn.
And so,
yeah, that's right.
If
There
I
was a lot of gas
remember,
cans.
if I remember your recollection of it correctly, Tony started to make a beeline for the gas cans. You got in his way and said, "Don't do it, Tony."
Oh, yeah, I remember this, and this is important, which is why I mentioned my size earlier, because Tony was like, "John, I am bigger than you."
Tony's a big dude.
And
He's a large gentleman.
John said, "Don't do it. I'm not gonna move." And Tony just threw him.
No, basically picked me up and tossed me aside like groceries.
And I was
Yeah.
Like the groceries.
It was luckily at that point where another friend of ours, right at that moment, was just like incoherent in a lazy boy chair and just puked all over himself.
I mean, it was all over his chest, the couch.
He ruined the lazy boy chair.
That thing smelled like
there's
vomit.
actually a name for that. It's called the drunken single father.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, well, there were a couple drunken single farmers in that barn house.
But
Yeah, they were tanked. And,
yeah.
I don't know. For me, I don't want to make it seem like my first time on here. I'm talking about getting wasted and people killing each other. But
That's nowhere near the
I'm not
worst
saying,
story
like,
we've
that's
had
my
on
life.
here.
you live in that area and you want to you're that age. You want to try. You want to see how drunk you can get, I guess. And that's kind of what it was a scientific experiment, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
The correct answer is you can get drunk to death.
But
That's
so
exactly how drunk you can get.
Yeah, it turns out you can. We found that
will
out.
get you there quick, exactly as fast as death mojitos.
and so
Yeah.
the one guy puked all over himself. The other two started puking just in a garbage can tandem. Blah, 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 blah. Tony got bored because no one else was in jousting form.
Yeah.
And then at that
tired
point,
himself
just
out.
went and grabbed 2 bottles of ketchup out of a fridge and just squirted them everywhere.
Yeah, so Gem Clear gave us all momentary insanity. I mean, I was just watching them all, and I felt crazy. But they, they lost their minds. I don't know who was mixing all those drinks for them, but it was horrific.
Yeah. You diffused a murder-suicide. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right
Suicide,
here.
arson.
Yes.
And an arson. I should be deputized.
I think the city owes you a sum of money.
And so
yeah, like a key or something.
at this point, Mark and I arrive back at the barn, and John is just outside, just looking off into the distance like a war veteran.
1,000-yard stare.
Yeah. And just, we walk up, we're like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he goes, "Never leave me alone with them again."
Yeah, that was Gem Clear. That was our experience with Gem Clear.
I walk into the barn, and first of all, ketchup everywhere. The one guy passed out in the lazy boy, just sleeping in his own puke. The other two still puking into that garbage can. Tony's got them both by the hair, and he's just going, "They make the funniest noises when they puke." And then
Tony had lost it at that point. He was crazy.
we pretty much had to hold him down the rest of the nights.
Yeah, that's what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, so
that was the night. That was our experiment.
I abandoned John in a war zone.
Nice.
Yeah, and I never let him forget about it.
Nope, sure didn't. So yeah, that's our story for this one.
Cool.
Fantastic.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we'll see you soon, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. Later, guys. Have a good night.
See ya. Thanks, John.
And there, the voice of our
Our highly esteemed
almighty
New York
producer. Yes.
He's the one who tells us what we can and can't do because, quite often we have some ideas, and he's like, "Yeah, you can't do that for legal reasons."
Yeah. We're working on that, though.
Yeah, we'll get there. Eventually, he'll let us do things that are illegal.
Yes. But I think that's going to about do it for this episode of the Mocktail. So thank you, Eric, for joining us.
Hey, thank you for
We're
having
glad
me.
you could make it. And we will see you. Actually, let's plug things. You guys know you can email us at theboozatory@gmail.com with ideas and questions and concerns about my well-being.
Be concerned about Jake's well-being. Like, someone needs to be.
Thank you.
Because it's certainly not Jake.
Nope, I'm not doing the job. But also follow us on, Facebook, Instagram, the other ones. Instagram's the big one because that's kind of your visual element into what we're doing. It's kind of hard to convey what these drinks look like over audio. So whatever we do here was going to show up there. So check it out.
Well, let's give Eric a chance
yes,
to plug
yes,
his
yes.
stuff. Because Eric's got some cool stuff going on.
Oh,
man.
you do?
No, I do. I actually I just started with Froelich Mezcal.
Nice.
They're a mezcal company out of Oaxaca, Mexico.
Cool.
Current headquarters is in Plainfield, just about 40 minutes out of the city. It's 100% Espadín agave. Right now we're working on a Blanco, a Reposado that's aged for 2 months, and an extra Añejo that's aged for 12 years in American white oak barrels. The reason that they're doing that is specifically to bring the tradition of Mexico to the American consumer. As you know, bourbons, most whiskeys are going to be aged in American white oak barrels. So it's going to give you that same kind of flavor, that oakiness and the smokiness that you're going to find in the mezcal. That's going to be a familiarity from when you're drinking fine bourbons and fine ryes. Another thing I really like about them actually is that the fact that they use 100% Espadín agave in all their mezcals.
Which is huge.
Yeah, no, a lot of mezcal companies will actually claim to use 100% Espadín, but it's more so 60 to 80% blend of Espadín, and then they'll use fillers of different agaves that they find. But what I really like about Froelich is they own their own farms, and so just the quality control is very intense. So every single bottle is guaranteed artisanal mezcal.
Nice. Excellent. So I think that'll do it then.
That'll do it.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, again. We're so glad you
Thank you for having
came.
me. I appreciate it.
And we will see you next time.